I have to start this video with an apology. In the previous video, I completely missed the fact that the cry streak had been broken. It got to 12 in Keystone Motel, and now we're back down to 0. And spoilers, I don't think we'll be starting a new count with this episode. Not for quite a while.
Steven!
Jamie!
Safe.
Jaime's back. I'm kinda just okay with Jaime. I think for a townie, he gets the perfect amount of screen time. He's got personality, he's also got a gimmick, that being acting. I can only point at Love Letters being a pretty bad episode, otherwise he doesn't have anything I can really complain about. He's just not all that important.
What? A play!
I'm holding auditions tonight. It's a local production drifting through space looking for stars.
That's smooth as hell. I don't think I'll ever get to use that line, but if I ever hold auditions for whatever reason, I'm using that one as many times as I can.
If you need a great actor, you come to the right guy.
What was that?
An accent?
From where?
I don't know.
I gotta say, I love this joke. There's a handful of good jokes in this episode. This is obviously supposed to be a nonsense accent that no real person would have, but goddamn if it doesn't remind me of Blaze the movie fan. If you don't know who that is, listen to this clip.
Hello, Alex the Lion. What the hell are you doing in my car?
Here's the return of the movable stage from Story for Steven, but also seen before in Steven and the Stevens. I didn't realize how many times this thing actually appeared. I wonder who puts it up and takes it down each time.
You're the only one that showed up. But hey, some plays only have one person in them, so we're already in 200% better shape than that.
That sounds like some strange math, but I'm ready.
The math checks out though. I think it would be fun to perform a one-man play someday.
It needs to be fully funded by Mayor Dewey, and it is, because he wrote it.
Did he get his first name changed to Mayor? Isn't his name Bill? Isn't Bill short for William? How many Williams are in his lineage?
This is the story of how Beach City was founded nearly 200 years ago by my great-great-great-great-grandfather, William Dewey.
Only 200? Wasn't this already part of a state by then? Wasn't there a British colony here 200 years before that? Weren't there settlers here 100 years before that? I know this show's world has some alternate history, but I find it really hard to believe that they could speedrun establishing a colony and then having a revolution and declaring independence in 200 years. I'm just saying all of this because fans seem to think that the story told in this episode corresponds to the founding of the American colonies. As far as I'm concerned, the United States was already here and they just decided to build a city here.
Good point, first mate buddy.
Buddy does come back in a later historical episode. Can you tell I really like picking apart the history of this show? I like picking apart the history of any fictional world. Also the real world, but there are people who already do that. I think what throws people off when it comes to the timeline are these drawings, and all the talk of a new land. Maybe they're not even sailing from Europe, maybe they're just sailing from another American city. Also, these drawings are sick as hell. This show almost never does other art styles, so anything like this is cool.
The crew thinks he's so good at being captain that they elected him to be the first mayor of Beach City. The end. Wow, Mayor Dewey, that was really good!
I really hope that Steven is only saying this to not hurt Dewey's feelings. I refuse to believe that he's stupid enough to think that this was anywhere close to good writing. Steven, I mean. I can absolutely believe that the mayor is this stupid.
He's got no character.
But the script kept saying he was really good.
Exactly. How can a guy have no faults? To be human is to be flawed.
William Dewey in this stage play is a classic Mary Sue, which does remind me that later in this show, not now, people started saying that Steven was a Mary Sue. I generally disagree with that, but when we get to those later seasons, I'll maybe be able to see where those people are coming from. None of that has to do with this episode, it's just priming for later. That's a new eye thing. There's also some unique eye shapes in this episode. I'm gonna try my best to find some unique ones. Also, I was wrong, new cry streak. Let's start at number 1.
Hey, Pearl.
Hold on, let me just... Yeah, does that look level now?
But he's totally boring. He's perfect and he never makes mistakes.
Wish I could say the same for myself.
Yeah, but nobody's like that. Everybody gets stuff wrong, and then you have to keep going, and it's hard, which is why it's great when you never stop trying.
There's a parallel here. Steven's talking about William Dewey, obviously, but he's also talking about Pearl in a way. Even when Pearl was totally shunned by Garnet, she was still spending days looking for Peridot. trying to find her redemption. Pearl having her big unforgivable moment makes it all the more satisfying next episode when she makes amends with Garnet. Dewey accidentally left some of the Epstein files in this script. Is the joke about the Epstein files going to be dated in 10 years?
Who wrote this?
Mayor Dewey?
He wasn't even there, but I was.
You were there? Wait, what really happened?
This feels like a big revelation, but it's kinda obvious that the gems were here before the town was founded. They were here for thousands of years. This town was only here for a couple hundred years. The crystal gems are a perfect conduit to tell some of the alternate human history in this world, but they hardly talk about history. They hardly even talk about gem history now that I think about it. I'm hoping that's the direction Lars of the Stars takes when it comes out.
It's like it was written by someone who lived it.
It was! And I don't know if you can tell, but I wrote the jokes!
When we actually get to see the play, there are like 2 jokes. Steven hardly contributed anything to this script.
This show will go on tomorrow night, with you as Captain William Dewey and I as the remaining roles.
You're gonna do props and costumes and then have 2 actors learn a whole new script before tomorrow night? I don't work in theater, at least not professionally. Oh wait, I actually have. I've run sound for a ton of community theater productions. They spend months rehearsing plays, and sometimes even longer building sets. I gotta get back into that. Being part of a theater production is fun as hell. I wouldn't normally point out Steven having diamond eyes, but he's a bit cockeyed here, so I think it's just funny to look at.
Mind if I have a seat?
Okay.
Oh, you know I wrote this play.
Correct response. I think the world would have a lot less weirdos if everyone had the balls to do what Pearl does here. Just fucking get up and leave.
This could either make or break my career.
You could lose your job at the post office?
This could either make or break my hobby.
I love this joke. It gets me every time. I feel like I've heard a similar joke somewhere else, but I always remember it from this episode.
Boardies and gentle boardies.
Yeah, the writers are still trying to push that boardies thing. They're townies. It's a free country. You can't make me call them boardies.
Oh, Captain, my Captain, how long until the soft lips of our sailing ship kiss the rugged beard of new lands?
I always knew the phrase, "Oh Captain, my Captain," sounded familiar, and that's because it's the title of a poem by Walt Whitman. Apparently, the whole poem is a metaphor for the death of Abraham Lincoln. Go read it, it's pretty good.
There he is! Hi, Steven! You're so talented!
I love Pearl being Steven's surrogate mom. Am I using that word right? Anyway, I kind of miss how she was more of a mom figure back in season 1. I like this moment. This is refreshing. Also good to see Pearl in a good mood after she'd gotten down in the dumps in the past few episodes.
I am Pearl, and I come to you as a messenger of the brilliant Rose Quartz!
Jaime is the second human character to mention Rose Quartz by name, right behind Greg. I also like the Pearl getup, very classy. Speaking of Greg, where is he? Why isn't he in this audience?
You should turn around lest you fall into the sea. And you know, humans aren't very good swimmers.
Obvious callback to love letters. The Garnet getup is, I don't know, it's serviceable.
They ain't.
Mop Amethyst only getting 1 line sums up the way fans thought about Amethyst when these episodes were coming out. This was basically the Garnet show during season 2. Amethyst got totally sidelined. Cryptids are just straight up real in this world. They're all gem monsters. This is probably what people ended up calling a kraken. This is the second depiction of Obsidian, aside from the temple statue, of course. She doesn't get named until the very last episode of the series, but this is definitely her. I think hundreds of years ago, there were gem monsters way bigger than the ones we see in the show, like kaiju in the ocean. Probably fusions. It would make sense that the crystal gems would take out the big ones first, which would need a big fusion, so you get Obsidian.
I shall name this new land in honor of my dead first mate, Buddy.
I'm alive.
Okay, Beach City it is.
Was it always called Beach City even before it was incorporated? Wait, am I thinking about that wrong? Can you have a city in the US without having a mayor and a city council?
Gutsy move, Dad.
Mayor Dewey. Mayor.
So everyone still gave Dewey credit for writing that, huh? I guess Pearl doesn't care about the credit.
If I could have a moment with the talent.
Oh.
Huh? Nanaflaw, what the fuck? That's gonna come back to bite you during your mayoral campaign in a few years.
How about I offer you another role, lead director of Beach City Community Theater? You could put on more plays, as long as the budget allows it.
Flame eyes again? It's no longer the rarest eye shape, damn.
You know, I don't remember there being a campaign slogan at the end of that story.
Art doesn't always need a reason, Pearl.
That's what I've been saying. Rule of cool, sometimes the curtains are just blue. Not everything is a symbol or a metaphor or foreshadowing.
That's why you always end on a joke.
This might be my favorite meta joke in the entire show. Is it a joke if the joke is that there is no joke? At what point does not having a joke become a joke? There's some layers to this. It could be a video in and of itself. I really do like this episode. Like I said earlier, I love learning about the history of this world, how it's different from our world. That's the most interesting thing about any fantasy setting, especially one based in our real world. Though, I think it's poorly placed. It's right in the middle of this drama after the Sardonyx incident, not to mention Peridot and Malachite still being out there. Here we are, padding time with a historical play. There was no magic in this one whatsoever. I don't think that's happened since Shirt Club. In the end, it's just a fun episode. We need one of those every so often. And if you want to see new videos from me a week before they premiere on YouTube, you can subscribe to my Patreon for just a couple bucks. The link is in the description as always. Biggest shoutouts to my Grandmaster patron, Scala LD, Grandmaster of Puppets. Like the Metallica album, but grander. And to my master patron, Geeky Game Guru, master of all frogs. And shoutouts to all my journeyman patrons, Henri Wickers, Bananas Are Violet, Boomblorp, Dr. Moon, Gage M, Horsey Jumper, JK Gamer 2146, Marsh, Max Buchek, Nanofa You Can't Do That, What the Hell, Netabag, Sam Bishop, Silly Alien Lady, The Cloaked Goat, The One True Fusion, Tricky Van Ricky, Wingo Dingo, Yotawo, and ZT the Fish Guy. Next episode is Friendship. What a non-descriptive title for an episode.